friends, welcome to the upstairs kitchen where I put together meals for my family, and on occasions like today, I bring you along with me. Today's video is part of the Soup-tember collaboration. Thanks, Leanne, for inviting me back again this year. I've had a blast bringing everyone not one but two different soup recipes. There are about 14 or 15 of us that are bringing a new recipe to you every single day for the entire month of Soup-tember. I mean September. And those of you who've been following along pretty religiously may have already looked at the calendar, and we're expecting someone else today. If you don't know the story of what happened to Cosmopolitan Cornbread, go ahead and go check out her video. If I remember, I'll link it down below. She and I traded. The plan is she'll be back next week with her second video. So today, buckle up, because we're going to go and we're going to make the viral crack chicken and noodle soup. And if you're not familiar with who I am, my name's Angela. I'm the Inquisitive Farm Wife. You never know where I'm going to be or what I'm going to be doing. And that's what's so exciting about ventures here on the farm. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. I always love seeing you here, and I love all the comments that you leave down below. We're going to need to gather just a few things before we get started. You're going to need a stock pot. You're going to need some cutting utensils. You're going to need some stirring utensils. And then for the ingredients, you're going to need shredded or chopped chicken breast. I'm using just whole chicken. 1 can of condensed chicken soup, 6 cups of chicken stock, a cup of whole milk, chopped celery, carrot, ranch dressing, the powdered kind, 12 slices of thick cut bacon, cheddar cheese, cream cheese, and thin spaghetti or angel hair, uncooked. Now that we've gathered all our ingredients, let's get cooking. Oh, let me tell you before we get started, I will go ahead and put a link down below. But I found this recipe, and I'm going to be following it along from Incredible Recipes. Doesn't that sound like a winner? So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and get your bacon to cooking. I'm going to turn on my little stove top here, and I'm going to put you at a different angle so that you can see what's going on as I do it. So I like to go ahead and buy the pre-cooked bacon, and I freeze it in little packages. So today, what I need to do is I'm going to go ahead and just kind of crisp this up. It shouldn't take very long at all. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the pan because it will have its own fat. And we're just going to kind of crisp this up. So as this bacon warms up, the fat will melt, and then I will have nice crispy bits of bacon. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. This is supposed to be about 12 pieces of bacon. Use your judgment on how much bacon you want to add. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put this out on a paper towel. Get any greasy bits that we might have missed in the pan, and I don't want to overcook it. Now onto our hot surface, our pot will go back on there, and I'm just going to spread this out and set it aside. Now the chicken that I'm going to be using today is off of a rotisserie chicken that I had gotten a really good deal on, and I just decided I wanted to freeze it. And it's kind of was big pieces. I didn't know what I was going to be using it for, a casserole or soup or what. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the chicken into the pot. Don't worry about those brown bits. We'll get those in just a little bit when we deglaze. You're going to want about 3 cups. I probably have closer to 4. and just cut them into whatever size pieces that you prefer. See, this is a little too big for me. So I'm going to pull that out and chop it up. I'm using white and dark meat. The recipe does suggest that you use chicken breast, but in my family, we don't discriminate. We eat all of the chicken. I'm going to add a can of condensed soup. Now, you should use the cream of chicken condensed soup if you have it. However, in my house, my husband does not eat chicken, so we always have the cream of mushroom on hand. And unfortunately, I thought I had some cream of chicken and I didn't. And I didn't feel like going to town to go to the store. So I'm telling you all the alterations, but the original recipe will be linked in the comments. So we're going to add that. We also need to add some milk. 1 whole cup of whole milk. So this is cream line Jersey milk from my cows. So I'm just going to use the can rather than dirty up a measuring cup. And I'm just going to put a can of milk right on in there. Now I've got that mixed in. Move this just a little bit. You can see a little bit better. Now, it would not be cracked chicken without cream cheese, now would it? So it calls for 3/4 of a cup. If I am correct, this is about a cup. I'm not sure, but I'm going to use the entire block of cream cheese because my family loves cream cheese. And if you have your cream cheese softened, this is going to work better for you. But I like to go ahead and kind of cut it up into chunks. Dollop these chunks right in here. We're going to add that bacon right back in now that we've gotten just a very little bit of the fat that was left off. We're going to add in 6 cups of chicken broth. This is chicken broth that I made homemade. I just like to give it a shake. I'm going to use my 4 jars lifter. I just love this thing. It is so handy. And we're going to add all of that right in right now. And then I'm going to continue working quickly. We also need about a 1/2 cup of celery. I'm going to use 1 stalk. And I've got this slicer that cuts them into big and thinner and bigger slices. I'm going to choose to do I think I'm going to go all the way up to 3. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut this right over the top just to get that right on in there. You can see about the thickness that I'm looking for. We like a thinner celery. Now, if I was smart, I would have left this end on there and I use that as a handle. So do what I say, not what I do, right? Well, we're going to save these bits because now we have empty jars and we're going to need more broth. I've got a couple of carrots. We need 2 carrots. Saving these peels that we'll be putting in our bag in the freezer for broth also. Peel those up real quick. I'm going to cut the tips off. I don't like that part. And we're going to do the same thing. And we can just make such quick work of this. Now, you're going to ask me, can I put this in the crock pot? I don't see why not. I think you probably could. And see, this time I left the end on so that I have my handle. Again, you can see the thickness of our carrot. Give this a quick stir. I don't want anything sticking to the bottom. Remember that those brown bits that we had, we want to make sure we're pulling those up because that is flavor and it will encourage other things to stick. Now this cream cheese is going to take a little bit to melt. Now we buy our ranch seasoning in bulk, so I don't have an actual packet to put in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab myself a couple of tablespoons of ranch instead of a packet. I think it's actually like maybe 3 tablespoons for a packet. I don't remember. And I want to stir this in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up to a boil before we do anything else. We have everything in here that we need to have in here. So this cream cheese has got to melt. And everything has got to, warm up, and the carrots and the celery need to cook. So just don't walk away and make sure that you're stirring the bottom. I am following the recipe as directed, okay? It is all I could do to not have that cream cheese and the milk come later. But this is what it says to do. And in the crock pot, that cracked chicken's the same way. So we're trusting the process here. While I kind of cleaned up the trash from the kitchen, this did come to a boil. It is starting to boil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this down, and then we're going to let this simmer for about 20 to 25 minutes. This is going to have this cream cheese completely dissolve. It's going to have the carrots and the celery soften, but we don't want it to boil the entire time, just a simmer. Well, what's a simmer anyway? It's a gentle boil, just not rolling. You don't want to scorch that milk. So as the soup is simmering and I'm just kind of stirring and keeping an eye on it, it kind of reminds me of like gravy. I always stay really close. Anything that has any sort of milk, I just get really nervous about on the stovetop. Crock pot, a little less so. I do believe you probably could put this in the crock pot and cook it, but I think you'd probably want to already have your vegetables cooked. But I can't say for sure because this is my first time trying this recipe with all of you. Speaking of recipes, our host Leanne asked that we all post the recipe in a description box. So I hope that you're paying attention to all of the creators and all of their recipes, and you're following along and checking it out so you can try it at home. She made the process super easy, and she's also very super generous. Did you know she's going to give away randomly a $100 gift card to either Amazon or I believe Visa? So you don't even have to live in the US to win. So at her live on October 2nd, there will be all sorts of prizes. But the big grand prize, the $100 gift card that we've all been talking about, how you can get entries for that is by watching the videos and making comments, because there will be a computer program that will generate a random video and then a random comment off of that video, and that will be the winner. And it could be you. Good luck to all of you. I'm wishing you all the best. There's also going to be wonderful prizes just for attending the live. So make sure you come join in on the fun. I'll have all this information down below in the description box. Those of you who are thinking, wait a second, I thought you said your husband doesn't really do chicken. No, he doesn't. He has like an allergy, so we stay away from chicken products. So, but you're thinking, well, what about him tonight? Don't worry, I'm going to be warming him up some zuppa toscana that I have canned. And if you want to learn more about how you can do that, stay tuned, because every single Sunday is Soupy Sundays. And next week, I'm going to show you how you can can our two favorite Olive Garden soups, zuppa toscana and chicken gnocchi. So make sure you come check that out too. Okay, so our 20-minute timer has now gone off, and I tested the carrots and they are softening. They are slight firm, but they are not mush by any means. So we can't have a cracked chicken noodle soup without noodles now, can we? So I've got myself angel hair pasta. This is a 1 pound package, so we need to use half of this. Soup is really started to get creamy and delicious looking. So what I'll do now is I'm going to take our pasta out here, and I want to grab about half of it. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because I don't particularly want big, long pieces of pasta. I think something like that is going to work much better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, and the directions don't say to do this, but I am going to go ahead and just put that in half. We're going to cook this pasta, and we also need 2 cups of cheese, 1.5 cups of cheese. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put it in 2 cups because this is a 4-cup measurement. So I'm going to just take it about in half, and we're going to add about half that cheese in there. And so that cheese is going to kind of thicken this along with the pasta as it cooks. It's going to thicken this, and it's just going to be wonderful. It smells amazing. And again, with cheese, I constantly stir, otherwise it can separate and get clumpy. If I would have used block cheese and grated it myself, it would have been even better, because sometimes when you use those pre-shredded, they put, anti-caking agents on them, and sometimes that can affect how the melting point is also. But for today, I think it's going to be okay. I'm thankful for that. And I'm just going to kind of let this, it probably is only going to take about 5 to 10 minutes, just whenever the noodles are ready. They're still a little too al dente yet. So we'll let this cook down, and then I'll bring you back and we will have a little taste test. Okay, it's been less than 5 minutes actually. Probably about 3 minutes is all this took to cook this. And look how much thicker this has gotten. I'm going to go ahead and shut that off so it doesn't cook anymore. And let's go ahead and let's dish some of this up. I just love a thick, creamy soup, don't you? Now, by all means, if this is too thick for your liking, which it did get pretty thick, I would suggest just adding some more milk to it. Or if you need to stretch it to feed a crowd, somebody shows up at the back door and says, hey, and you say, it's supper time, come on in. You can add a little bit more milk to stretch this out. I am all about bacon ranch, bacon cheddar ranch. Yes, yes, yes. So I'm going to try to grab a small bite, but that's hard to get everything in there. So here it is. And I'll do the obligatory taste test. I do like that. It's not super strong in the ranch. It is very much soupy. It's not necessarily like the Crack ranch is. You can taste that cream cheese, and the celery and the carrots just go so well with it. But I will tell you something that I think I would personally like to add is some onion. I would either saute some onion in with those bacon bits as I was cooking them, or if I had them, fresh green onion on top. maybe with a dollop of sour cream just to make it a little more decadent and a little more rich, and possibly a little more cheddar cheese on top. If you noticed, I didn't add any salt or pepper to this recipe. You could definitely add that later if you wanted to, but there's plenty of salt with that cream cheese and that bacon. So I didn't feel that it actually needed any. I'm not a pepper person myself, but if you are, I would suggest that you go ahead and flavor that per bowl as you serve it up. What would you top this soup with? Let me know. What are your favorite toppings and sides for your soups? Are you a cracker or a no cracker? Do you like those little oyster ones or the square saltines? Let me know. Ritz, what is it, friends? For now, I'll let you go because my family is getting hungry. It's getting dark outside and it's time to call it a night. Bye for now, friends. We'll see you next time right here in the Inquisitive Farm Wife. As a side note, this warms up beautifully as leftovers. Yes, you can stick it in the freezer. Just when you go to warm it back up, you will want to add some milk or extra broth because it does get quite thick after sitting in the fridge.